I'm Grant Boxleitner. Welcome to live coverage of the House District 72 special election. Democrat Margaret Good, Republican James Buchanan, and Libertarian Allison Foxall have each fought a hard campaign, and we'll soon find out who is going to Tallahassee. I'm joined by a panel tonight to discuss this race. I want to introduce Dr. Lawrence Miller to my right, political science professor at St. Petersburg College. Dr. Miller, thank you so much for being with us. Also, we have Gabriel Hammond, political strategist who worked on the Margaret Good campaign. Gabriel, welcome. As well as A.J. Jansen, the Sarasota County Republican State Committee woman. And we have some breaking news. I'd like to take you right to it right now. With 88% of the precincts reporting, Margaret Good now has 52% of the vote with only 4 precincts out. It sounds like Margaret Good is going to be very difficult to catch, if not impossible. What is, Dr. Miller, your reaction to that? A big turnout tonight, almost 36%.
Well, for a special election, that's outstanding. I think that in terms of the hard work all the candidates did, but it's obvious if you have that kind of turnout that the Democrat had the most momentum going.
It seemed like this electorate was really engaged, Gabe.
Well, there's no question about it. I mean, first of all, we have to congratulate both of the campaigns. I'm sorry, all 3 of the campaigns. They were all hard fought, but I was thinking going into this, we'd have a 22% turnout, something like that.
As it is typically in a special election.
Right, for like a school referendum election.
Sure.
But we're looking at, I'm hearing 36%, almost, half. I mean, that's unprecedented. The enthusiasm on both sides was incredible.
And we know a lot of money came into this race. AJ, it sounds like James Buchanan is playing catch-up tonight. Did you expect that?
We knew it was going to be very, very tight. With all the money that came in from out of state, we knew it was going to be tight. So, and also, there was another factor in there. We have a third candidate. So usually a third candidate will pull votes away from either one or the other.
And as you saw in the graphic at home, almost just shy of 3% of the vote at last check, Allison Foxall, the Libertarian candidate. So, and then that was an interesting dynamic because we had the women vote, Margaret Good and Allison Foxall. There was a thought that perhaps Allison Foxall may take some of the women vote. I don't know if people weren't aware of the issues and maybe wanted to give someone else a chance, but we really didn't see that play out, did we?
I'll make a comment about that. In a special election, you get a lot of specialized voters out who are really keeping up with politics locally and nationally, and so they're likely not going to use their vote on a candidate that's polling at like 4%.
And there you're seeing the results there again. Margaret Good with a big lead right now. It was a little larger, then a couple more precincts came in. It did tighten a little bit, but as you can see, she has almost 55% of the vote. And
some interesting statistics. The district has about 40,000 Democrats, 52,000 Republicans, and then about 30,000 no party affiliation voters. And if you dissect the turnout into 3 buckets, you have folks who vote by mail,
right.
You have folks who vote early the week before, and then you have folks who vote on Election Day. Margaret Good did real well on vote by mail and early voting. I was looking at the hourly returns on Election Day, and I said, it looks like the Republicans are catching up big time. They come out on Election Day, but I'm not sure it was enough this time.
Now, 23% of the mail-in and the early voters cast the ballot, so a good number of this turnout did decide to cast the ballot, and we've seen that in other elections. That seems to be a trend.
It is a trend, and the thing here is that as far as the electorate is concerned, the more time that is given for people to come out and vote, the turnout inevitably is higher.
Because you make it more convenient.
You make it more convenient, and people have more of an opportunity to, as far as their time and schedules are concerned, to get out and vote, whereas just one day for a certain amount of time is much more difficult.
Yes, and we are going to get back to the panel in a moment, but right now I want to take it out to SNN's Samantha Sonner. She is at Cafe Bocce at the Buchanan headquarters tonight, and she has a guest, I believe the state committeeman, Christian Ziegler. Samantha.
Thanks, Grant. Yes, I am here with Christian Ziegler. Now, Christian, we just saw the big dump of precincts come in, and Buchanan is down here. You know, how are you looking at these numbers right now?
Well, it's disappointing, but you know, we knew it was going to be close. There's a lot of money spent at the end. I think over $1 million spent in this race. A lot of outside forces, outside people that came in. They airdrop over 50 people. So, Democrat Party was very active, engaged in this. So was the Republican Party. But during a special election, you never know what's really going to happen.
Right now, I know Republicans have the advantage in this district. They have more registered voters. Do you think it just came down to turnout?
I think, yeah, turnout's a big thing in a special election, but when you look at this district, it was won by a Democrat in the past. Countywide, we're a lot more conservative. Donald Trump won by 25,500 votes. So countywide, we're pretty safe. The north end of Sarasota is usually a little rough for the Republican Party. But when you have a special election, such few turnout, that it can make it a little bit more competitive. I have no doubt in the fall we'll see different results.
Grant, are we still expecting James Buchanan here tonight?
Yeah, James will be here. Everything that I've heard, he'll be here. So he's got a lot of supporters, a lot of people that, you know, worked hard on his race. And the funny thing about it is, starting tomorrow, I think they just continue to campaign. So, you know, it's a little silly. We've spent over $1 million, and, you know, the person's only going to be in office for a couple months. And a little over 6 months from now, everyone will be going to vote in this race again.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Christian.
Thank you.
Back to you, Grant.
Samantha, thank you for that. And Christian makes a good point. Of course, this is going to start all over again in the fall with this seat because, again, this was a special election almost a year or more into the term. So this is just the beginning for District 72.
We're going to be back here in November.
That's right. And
So when you're looking at a special election, all the millions that we've spent just to run this election. But I do have to say Margaret Good, I think, concentrated on the woman vote. And she had a lot of support in that area. But we will all be back here in November.
it is going to be very interesting.
Here's what I'll say about November. A lot of folks are saying, well, this is not representative of what could happen in November, and thus the Republicans should run another candidate against what will now be incumbent State House Rep Margaret Good. This was indicative of a turnout level for a midterm election in
Higher
November.
than normal.
I mean, 36%, almost at 40%. Turnout's usually 50%. So she's looking pretty good. And another thing, incumbents are tough to beat. And this is a Democratic wave year. And secondly, the entire nation was looking at this seat in terms of a bellwether. What way was the wind blowing? And I know that there are political committees in Florida and across the country that are ready to pour millions into state house districts around Florida that are held by Republicans currently. And I'll leave you with this statistic. 25 state house seats have a similar partisan composition of District 72 or a composition with more Democrats, but are held currently by Republicans. So that tells you that there's now 25 seats in play that weren't before.
And we're now learning that with 100% of the precincts in, Margaret Good is the next House representative in District 72, 52% of the vote. We are going to have much more on the District 72 special election. We're going to hear more from our panelists, and we will take you out to the Margaret Good campaign headquarters, where it is a big celebration tonight. We're just getting started here on SNN. Stay with us. Welcome back to our live coverage of the District 72 special election. Margaret Good, the winner tonight, the Democrat with 52% of the vote, and 44% was James Buchanan, the Republican, finishing second tonight. I'm joined again by my panel, Dr. Miller, yes, from St. Petersburg College, and Gabriel Hammett, the political strategist who worked on the Good campaign, as well as A.J. Jansen, the state committee woman of Sarasota County in the Republican Party. And AJ, during the break, you were making a point. What were you saying?
Yes, what I was saying is that I believe that this is a strategy that the Democrats have, and that is they have zero in on the special elections that we have. They come in, they're well organized, money comes in from other states, and you do have to say that when they put this effort in, it definitely pumps up the base.
Yeah, I think the other part of this is that in this year, we're talking about a situation where the president has low approval ratings, but usually in terms of the electorate coming out during a midterm, the party in power usually loses some seats.
Right.
And the other party has a lot of enthusiasm.
It's true. It happened with President Obama. But
Except
how much?
I'd like to take an issue with that. The president currently is experiencing 50% or over approval rate, especially with this tax bill that he's had. So I think you'll see that groundswell support still there for the president, and that we as a party are struggling with the special elections.
How much was this vote tonight here in Sarasota County Donald Trump?
I don't think any of it was Donald Trump.
None of it?
No. I think it was a concentrated effort to get the women's vote and to win. And I think this was a good Democratic strategy. And I think we have to, as Republicans, accept that these special elections were very well organized and planned, and they did pull the rug out from under us.
I think you have, I disagree to a certain degree as far as that is concerned, because as far as the issues that were highlighted in Buchanan's campaign, one of them had to do with sanctuary cities.
We heard a lot about that.
That's an issue that is germane to Donald Trump's whole wave in terms of coming in. But I will say this about Buchanan. He did go ahead and get closer to the governor, which for him was a better thing.
He did get the endorsement
than going ahead and getting it from the president. So politics, as far as understanding the lay of the land, I think is so close between registration as far as Republicans and Democrats are concerned. You're really fighting for the independents and who's going to go ahead and win the day as far as the independents going for one candidate or the other.
And we're going to talk much more about this, but right now we're going to send it out to Hallie Pilot. She is standing by out at Madison's 41 with a very raucous crowd. Margaret Good's campaign headquarters for the big party. Hallie.
Grant, it is really hard to describe the mood in here, the energy. I mean, you can see behind me, it kind of speaks for itself. I mean, there will be moments of silence, anxiety. Everyone is kind of on edge, really nervous, hoping Margaret Good can pull it off. And then with every update of the polls, just roaring cheers in this crowd. Drinks are flowing, hors d'oeuvres are flowing. Everybody is just really excited. And, you know, just walking around, a lot of Margaret Good's team, her supporters, all they keep saying is, we see her in Tallahassee. We really see her in that state house seat. We know that she is equipped to do it. And, you know, who else thinks she's equipped to do it is former Vice President Joe Biden. He is endorsing Margaret Good. He even sent out calls today to a lot of people in this room, as a matter of fact, reminding them to get to the polls, vote for Margaret Good. And it appears that people are listening because she is leading right now with just over 52% of the vote. So stay with us for any official results. I'll send it back to you now, Grant.
Hallie, it's really loud out there, and they just cheered a minute ago. Do you know what that's all about?
You know, I think there's a TV behind me. I think they keep updating the results of the polls. So as of the past few minutes, it showed, you know, just over 52. But with every update, everyone's really excited and really hopeful.
It is a big night for Margaret Good and all of her supporters. Hallie, thank you so much for that live report. We'll check back with you when we can. So, Gabriel, this special election, a Democrat, not since 2010, when Keith Fitzgerald had the seat, has a Democrat from this district gone to Tallahassee.
It's wild. It's a swing district. There's no doubt about it. From 92 to about 2000, Representative Shirley Brown, who's currently on the school board, held this district. And then Keith Fitzgerald was in there. And then the Tea Party wave in 2010, Mr. Fitzgerald lost his seat to Ray Pilon. So, and then we had Alex Miller in. So it's all over the place, this seat. It's definitely a windsock of where the political winds are blowing.
It's been
nationally
very fascinating, and we're coming back with more coverage of the District 72 special election. Stay with us here on SNN. Back to our live coverage of special election, District 72. We want to take it out to Samantha Sonner. She is standing by at the James Buchanan campaign headquarters tonight at Cafe Bocce, where the room is ideally a little more somber than what we just saw at Margaret Good's. Samantha, what are you seeing and hearing?
Well, it is pretty quiet here. One of the things that's happening here, Grant, is that no one has made an official announcement about the loss yet. Obviously, some people know they've gotten the results on their cell phones, but we don't have a results screen here, and we did not get an official announcement yet. So some people here still don't know if they're not paying attention to something on their phones, but the mood is definitely a little quieter here now, and people are still waiting for James Buchanan to make an appearance. He is still supposed to, but since the loss, I'm not sure anymore.
All right, Samantha, we will check back with you on that. Stand by, and we appreciate your reporting down there at Cafe Bocce. So obviously a somber mood there, and some people still trying to find out. But I mean, it's hard to win your first election, is it not?
A lot of people don't make it on their first try, so maybe James will come back. Certainly got to congratulate him on his effort, congratulate Allison Foxall on her effort. We all got to come back together as a community, at least for 9 months until November.
Right.
The big question that I'm starting to hear amongst political circles in Sarasota is, how much muscle did Congressman Vern Buchanan flex in clearing the field for his son in this special election? Were there other candidates on the sidelines that wanted to come in and run for this? And will there be blowback within the Republican Party as he seeks his reelection for Congress? I don't know.
And does this loss, yeah, that's right, with a Buchanan on the ticket losing, that didn't happen to Vern Buchanan. Does this affect his race in November in some way?
No, I don't think it does.
You don't?
No. I think Vern has a track record. He is very, very well liked, not only in the Republican camp, but also in the independent and some Democrats that have crossed over. He has proven himself as a leader. So no, I don't see any blowback for Vern Buchanan at all. And I think James is a fighter, and I honestly believe that there will be a lot of voters in November that will have buyer's remorse, because there are some issues that became clear towards the end of Margaret Good's campaign, in particular, that she wants to do Medicaid expansion here in the state of Florida. And when asked, why would you want to do this to Florida when the other states are really having financial difficulties because the subsidies have gone away? She said, because I want to.
And we know that Governor Scott for a time was for that, but that was when it was much different. It was a few years ago. But
we know those Medicaid subsidies would just fiscally kill the state.
But the Republicans are still in charge of Tallahassee. I mean,
Yes.
it's not, that's not going to
this
change.
doesn't
but
change
that.
with one
No.
election, does it?
So
No.
even if she wanted to do some of those things, it's not really possible to go ahead and get a majority to change what the agenda of the Republican
It would take more
base would
elections
be.
like
I'll
this.
tell you what's going to happen in Tallahassee now from my point of view. This was a bellwether race, no question at all. The Republicans have been doing a lot of one-party rule type of agenda items, like expanding vouchers and taking funds away from public schools. I don't know if they're going to as vigorously pursue that type of agenda now that they sort of had a referendum on the current legislative session. We'll have to see.
It is
Yeah,
going to,
but the other thing here is that as far as the Republicans are concerned, they have to recapture some momentum. I think AJ mentioned earlier about the strategy of the Democrats. If they want to be successful, they're going to, as Gabriel is talking about, repackage their message to a certain degree. Still be able to pull out their base,
Right.
but at the same time fight for the middle. Because the middle is really where this all happens.
and we should certainly talk about the money that's going to be pouring. Okay, we are taking Margaret Good. She is standing by with Hallie Pilot. Let's take it out to the winning candidate.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We won. We've won for Sarasota. We've won for education, for our local economy, and for our environment. We have won for our district district's children and for our citizens, our workers, and our small businesses. We've won for the people who, like me, have had it with our state government and want to see some change. With this win, we are saying enough is enough. I am beyond proud of the race that we have run. 5 months ago, I was spending time with my patient and understanding husband, Richard. Yay, Richard! Walking my dog, Barney, and running 50-some-odd miles a week. I was frustrated with the direction of our state and of our country and knew that I wanted to do more. And here we are. In the last 5 months, I practically gave up my running shoes and instead walked countless miles with so many of you in this room, knocked on thousands of doors, and talked to thousands of voters. It has been an amazing experience working side by side with you all. I am so humbled and grateful for the support that we have received. People came from near and far to walk and knock on doors and help us raise money. Voters talked to us about health care, about education, about our local economy, and about protecting the environment. To them and to all of you, I say thank you. To my family, to my husband, Richard, who spent many an afternoon putting up signs.
It was well worth it.
To my mom, Amy, who drove me mile after slow mile as to my brother, Charlie, who fed me and kept me company for the first several months of the campaign. And to my aunts and uncles, uncle who came from North Carolina to help me get out the votes. I can't thank y'all enough. Thank you. Thank you to my fellow lawyers at Matthews Eastmore. It's a great place to work. Ted, Martin, Pat, Keith, Art, and Josh, thank you for being behind me 100%. I could not have done this without your support. And Lamar, thank you. You have been my champion since the very first day I met you. You can't have the mic. Before I even graduated from law school, you have supported and encouraged me every step of the way. I thank you so much.
Aww, thank you.
No.
Producers in the house. I used to work for you.
Thank you to Kevin Latta, my campaign manager. And to our outstanding campaign staff. I'm so grateful. Thank you to Reggie Cardozo and the House Victory staff. To Marley Wilkes and Ruthless. To our mail guy, Jonathan Ducote, who is so much more than a mail guy. And to my campaign fixer, Kate Coyne McCoy. Thank you. And thank you to hundreds of others who've given everything they had to help with this campaign. Words cannot fully express my gratitude, and I know I can't thank every single person individually that put their heart, mind, and body into this campaign, but there are a couple of people that I can't not thank. Joanne DeVries, Chair of the Party. Kevin Griffith, who got me into this. Thank you. Chris Christine Jennings, Gabriel Hammett, and Hagen Brody. It is your enthusiasm and your leadership is the reason that we had such a great team. Thank you so much. Thank you to the precinct captains and the super volunteers, and to the people who had never canvassed before. And there are a lot of us. Thank you. And thank you to leaders of the local party who taught us all how important grassroots campaigning is. Here tonight, we have proven what can happen when a group of committed, engaged people unite for a common purpose. We wanted real and good representation in Tallahassee, and we worked, and I mean worked for it, and we got it. We won. Tomorrow, I will drive to Tallahassee to represent. And I will represent all of us in District 72. I pledge today to represent us to the very best of my ability. I will fight for fully funded public education. To affordable health care. I will work tirelessly to protect our environment. And I will work to make sure that we have an economy that works for small businesses and workers. I will be transparent and accessible. And most of all, I promise to be a public servant that listens to voters and represents all of us. We could not have won without every single person in this room and thousands of others who are not able to make it here tonight. And I just want to say one more time, thank you. We did it.
All right, you've been listening to Margaret Good, a very happy Margaret Good, thanking all of her supporters, the people who worked so hard on her campaign. She said, we worked for it and we won, and that got a loud cheer, guys, and is a big night for Margaret Good, and she'll be heading to Tallahassee.
And I think in terms of going to Tallahassee, now the work that begins, and we'll see how that plays itself out. But looking at the elections ahead, I think AJ brought up about the special election, what's going to happen in November. And you have a situation where I think this, as she put it, a strategy is indicative of what is happening across the country. And as I said, I think Republicans have to be very concerned about that. It's not just that the money is going to be coming into this particular district in November, it's that there's such a wave. She mentioned about the women who were involved with Margaret Good's campaign. That's not going to go away. So we got to come up with a different strategy.
Absolutely. Some final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I think you're going to see the legislature start to move to the center, maybe in these last few weeks, and throw some bones to the more progressive wing of Florida. I think Margaret Good's going to raise a ton of money for her re-election because she's now going to be catapulted to national fame. I mean, I know news outlets from far and wide, including SNN, are covering this tonight.
And Joe Biden, of course, weighing in. Corey Lewandowski. We saw some big national figures.
You had heavy hitters. Vice President Joe Biden cut a robocall for Margaret Good, who was unknown 2 months ago. I mean, these are unusual political times we're in.
AJ, some final thoughts.
Well, I think that at this particular time, you will see Republicans go to muster. And I don't think it'll be that easy in the general election. I think that our president is on the right track. I think he has a great deal of support. And I think that the Republican values that are represented will really carry the weight in November.
And we are going to keep this discussion going because we are awaiting James Buchanan at Cafe Bocce. We're told he is going to be making a statement. He's going to be addressing his supporters. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, the midterm elections, we're going to see more money. We're going to see a lot more races. This was just one race. We're going to pick up that conversation when we get back. Stay tuned for more live coverage of the special election District 72. Welcome back to live coverage of the election, and you are looking at the final results here where you see Margaret Good has won the seat in this special election for District 72, the House of Reps up in Tallahassee. She will be going up there for the remainder of this term, and it's only until the end of the year, and this vote will go again, but she is now the incumbent, and she beat James Buchanan. We are still standing by at James Buchanan's campaign headquarters tonight at Cafe Bocce. We were expecting to hear from him momentarily. We will take you there live when we hear from him. But meanwhile, and Allison Foxall, we should mention, got about 3% of the vote. I know that she had a goal of trying to get 5 or 6%, maybe getting a few funds from the National Libertarian Party, but that didn't materialize for her. Did the message, I mean, she raised $30,000. I guess it just wasn't enough with two heavyweights.
Well, listen, when you're running a campaign, there's two parts of it. There's earned media when you appear on TV for free and are interviewed, which she did a lot of.
Right.
But then you have to run a professional, well-financed campaign to reach people. You have to send mailers out. You have to run commercials. You have to send robocalls out. You have to run Facebook ads, and you need money to do it. That's just the reality, and she didn't have enough money.
Yeah, it really came down to that in the end.
I would like to point out, though, that if you look, she's at she got 3% of the vote.
Right.
And if you did not have a third-party candidate in there, where would those votes?
This race tightens 52 to 44.
That's right.
But her perspective is closer to Buchanan's than it is to Good's.
Well, then,
She was a one-time GOP
right.
member.
So the question is, did that 3%, was that taken away from Buchanan's campaign? You know, what factor did that 3% have?
Yeah, but even if you had a 3%, I don't think she would have. I don't think Buchanan would have beat.
Yeah, maybe
Good.
been
The
closer,
numbers
but based
closer,
on tonight's turnout, it seems like it still could have been.
Even if Foxall wasn't in the race and you tacked on all of her votes to Buchanan, Good still would have won the race. So, you know, Foxall highlighted her big Second Amendment pro-gun credentials
Right.
on a live debate, which was rerun last night on Monday. So, you know, a Democrat hearing a big pro-Second Amendment, we need guns in classrooms, which is Greg Stubbe's bill. That's not going to resonate with Democrats. So I think 70% of the vote she took from Buchanan, 30% from Good. That's my final analysis.
But we also know that James Buchanan, he said he was an environment candidate. He embraced the environment, like his father, on some of these environmental issues. But that really didn't seem to play with some of the electorate.
There's something important that professional campaign people keep in mind, and that's issue leadership when you're running a campaign. Good, you know, came out strong on public education. She came out strong on environmental protection and health care. And I heard a lot about sanctuary cities from Buchanan. And for the viewers to know, that's the second time a sanctuary city message has failed in the county of Sarasota. They tried it in the city of Sarasota elections, didn't resonate with the voters. They've tried it in this special election, spent thousands of dollars talking about
There were ads.
It's really a non-issue in this community, and it didn't work again. It didn't drive out the Republican base, so they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and find out what issues resonate with a majority of the population.
Well, Gabriel, I think that people just in general are sanctuary city termed fatigued out. And I think that here in Sarasota, we have very good leadership. We have very good policing of these issues, so we don't see that as an immediate problem. But I think people are just weary hearing sanctuary city, sanctuary city. But when I hear that Margaret Good wants to treat every criminal exactly the same way, with the fact that they've broken the law by coming here illegally and then breaking another law when they're arrested, they should just be treated as though they've only broken one law and forget about the fact that they broke the law to be here to commit that crime. So I think this is an issue that will come up maybe in different terminology, and I do think that people care about it, but I think they're termed out with that term, sanctuary city.
And you mentioned about the environment. I think part of the issue that really resonated was Margaret Good's perspective as it related to the environment. She was much more in depth when she spoke about it on the campaign trail, whereas Buchanan was relying more upon having the governor appeal to the president about having oil derricks in the bay, Sarasota Bay, and what have you. And so when you have a situation where somebody is really pushing an issue that resonates with the electorate and they come out to vote, they're going to win in a special election. And that's basically my take on it, what happened here. She pushed those types of issues more so than any issue had to do with crime, but more along the lines of the environment and education. That's where she really won this race.
And we are going to have much more on this race. We are still waiting to hear from James Buchanan, but we are going to take a short break. We're coming right back with more live coverage. Stay with us. Okay, we want to take you out to Cafe Bocce. I understand Congressman Vern Buchanan and his son James Buchanan, who lost the race tonight, are getting ready to speak. Let's listen in live.
And even the baby, Lexington, she got in on the action. I'm sure got a few votes. But let me just say, it's been a tough race, but what doesn't kill you makes you better. I'm so proud of my son and what he's able to accomplish, how far he's come as a candidate, and he's made a big difference on a lot of these issues. And so I'm looking forward to a great future for him. I do want to say, as I mentioned earlier, I think we need to also recognize the other team ran a good campaign. These special elections are unique. Chris touched on that. Usually we would get twice as many voters as we get now, but all of you set a record. It's the most people have ever participated in a special election in Florida. Let's give all of you a round of applause for that. So I just want to thank all of you and the family. Of course, James's mother, Sandy's been out there every day working along with James's brother, Matt. They've done a phenomenal job, but all the extended family, the campaign team, I mean, it's been a heck of a job. I mean, today I think they had 15,000 votes, so there's a lot that's been done. Normally these races are 12,000, but we got 40 or 50,000 votes, just unheard of. So again, thank you. As I mentioned, it's a tough day, but I'm very proud about what James has done, what his team has done, and we came up a little bit short, but as you know, there's always another day, another rematch, another opportunity down the road. So let's give James one more round of applause.
I want to start off by thanking everyone for coming out tonight, everything you've been doing. I do want to congratulate Margaret Good on the victory, the tough-fought battle. This has been a long, actually not so long, but a tough battle, a drawn-out 5 or 6 month campaign of which we've exchanged a number of barbs, jabs, but I believe we're on the right side of the issues. I'm very proud of the team we have. It's a local team. This is a group of Sarasotans, Manateans. These are people that are from the area, and I'm proud of the support that we've had. My wife has been my rock. She's been amazing throughout this process, so I want to give her a round of applause. And one thing you learn through this process is just the amazing group of friends. You meet a new group of friends as well. And, I want to make sure I thank all our volunteers and everyone I've met along the way. This has been an amazing process, and I'm so thankful to each and every one of you for all of your support. I really am, and I also want to thank the voters. I spent all day at the polls today, and I've had one voter after another come up to me and mention that they voted for me, and I want to thank them for their votes and for believing in us. And we're going to run another campaign. There's going to be another day to this. There's going to be a round 2. And I very much look forward to that opportunity. And again, I want to thank everyone that's been so involved over the last few months. This group here tonight has been absolutely amazing. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of my wife's heart. My parents, my brother, they've been out at the polls all day. They've been working hard. And I have cousins here. I have aunts, uncles, and I want to thank all of them for coming into town and being here with us. So thank everyone, and we'll get her next time. I appreciate everyone's support, and thank you very much.
Okay, you've been listening live from Vern Buchanan, the congressman first, and then James Buchanan, the candidate tonight. A very tough night for him, and we're joined by our panel once again. James Buchanan, we heard some news coming out of there. Vern Buchanan talking about a rematch. We also heard James Buchanan say there will be a round 2. Don't know what that means, but you can only think that perhaps they are weighing a possible rematch as early as this fall?
You know, was it a rhetorical flourish or was it a literal statement?
Yeah.
We don't know. But I'll tell you, running campaigns takes a ton of energy, and you need really a month at least to recuperate afterwards, particularly if you've lost.
And everybody here has been around campaigns. One of the toughest things to do is to concede election, right?
That's
Right.
true.
But I will tell you that James is from sturdy stock, and I don't think he took that lightly, that he said that he'll be back. I believe he'll be back, and he'll be in fighting mode.
He also mentioned that this is a local team, possibly a shot at some of the money that came from the outside, but I believe it came from both sides. If we're digging down into
We
to
did
all of the
not
money that
have
was spent.
out-of-state money. It was a local fought campaign, and they fought hard. They didn't do it this time, but there's always November.
But out-of-state money comes into a lot of these campaigns.
There was
They're
huge
rather-
amounts of
Republican.
out-of-state and local money into
Right.
both campaigns, whether it was through a third-party political committee or directly into the campaign account. Unfortunately, you can't track most money because it comes through LLCs established in states far away, up in the Northeast and the west of the country. So much money came into this thing, nobody knows where it came from at the end of the day.